What is up, everyone? What a beautiful Monday it was today. Hopefully, you had an awesome Monday. Hopefully, the start of the week is a beautiful thing for you. And we also look at it, it is the Christmas week, also. We got Christmas coming up at the end of this week, Friday. So, I don't know, maybe you're taking time off from work, spending time together with family and friends. You never know. But it's interesting because after this week, then next week, and it would be Friday, I believe. No, Friday or Saturday is the first day of 2021. And so it's one of those things that's a book that I've read. I had it and then I gave it to somebody, but the book is called One Word That Will Change Your Life. And it's by John Gordon. And if you've never read anything that John Gordon has written, highly suggest going and finding a book by John Gordon. That 3 or 4 different books: The Carpenter, Positive Dog, The Energy Bus. That's huge and whatnot. But when you look at what has happened this year, because there was something that I did today, so there's a little analogy here, but think about this year. Think about what has taken place and look at yourself and take a deep dive and ask yourself if you are a new individual that is going from 2020 to 2021. Have you taken advantage of what we were given? You can look at it as a positive or negative. I know with earlier in the year, with things kind of slowing down and whatnot, a lot of people had an opportunity to kind of do that deep dive and find what was really passionate for them, what really pushed them, and found different ways to really open up and see who they truly were. So I know for myself, like this year, went through a couple courses. Coaching ended up coming up, and we ran with that. So, but it's unique because you do have the opportunity to go and do something different next year. This year, it was up to you. And that's one of those things that's part of the hero's journey, part of your journey and whatnot. So I know last year, the word that I had was freedom. And when I look at everything that took place this year, man, it really did come to fruition, was the freedom piece, because started a podcast, got into live streaming, got into doing lives consistently. Even though there was like 10 days, the end of November, that wasn't there dealing with whatever. So, but yeah, like this year was the word freedom. And for everybody, freedom can mean something different. But my drive was really just to kind of set myself up, do something different, really get to the point of doing what I wanted to do. And it was powerful just how things opened up and what started showing up and what's taking place and whatnot. And so I'm looking and thinking in regards with the next year, 2021. We've got, let's see, we've got 10 days left in this year before we go into 2021, and doing that deep dive, thinking about it. And it goes into effect of kind of the things that myself and Patrick speak on. But the one word for myself when I look at going into 2021 is imperfect action. And people know, people will laugh at me and whatnot, but I know Jasper will give me shit sometimes about talking about taking imperfect action. But honestly, for me, it's the fact that to grow your muscle with the consistency piece, if you've got a business and you're building a business, that muscle for building the business and growing it really is taking imperfect action. If you're waiting and trying to find a perfect route, find a perfect time, find, I don't know, perfect whatever for you, you ain't going to find it. And so if you're waiting for that time, you're going to miss out. So really what you need to do is just take that imperfect action. And individuals can be like, oh man, I don't want to take imperfect action. What if I screw up? Okay, well, what if you do screw up? What can you learn from that? What can you grow from that? What can you do to do differently from learning from your mistake by messing up. And that's the one thing that we have to understand is the power of a mistake, the power of what that does for you is that's where you grow and you learn and you progress and become the best version of yourself by learning and saying, what can I do differently going forward? But too many people look at the idea of a mistake as being bad. And it goes back to the school system and how you get your letter grade written in red ink. And red's a very traumatic color sometimes for people. So like if you get an F on a paper and it's an F and it's big circled and whatnot, like that freaks you out. And so talking about that, tomorrow I'll be live streaming for the next episode of the High School and Beyond podcast. And I've got a good friend, Daniel McCarthy, coming on. And the topic we're talking about, I'm excited for it because I've hit on it a little bit. I've worked with it a little bit. But when you understand the power of what Daniel's going to talk about tomorrow, you will kind of be mad at yourself for falling into the trap of listening to society and not doing your research. And so I'm excited for it. Getting ready to drop some bombs here, some knowledge bombs and whatnot tomorrow. But yeah, when you look at yourself and you start looking at that next year, what's your one word? You've got to do some deep dive. You got to do some thinking. And if you go look up the one word that will change your life by John Gordon, you can go out there and find, he's got a blueprint to kind of walk you through the steps to get to that one word that will guide you for the year, which is very powerful because one word is very simple. One word. It doesn't get complex. It's very simple. You just follow that. It's what's going to guide you. And that's what's going to direct you. And it's just the power of the one word. And you could inspire somebody by letting them know this is what my one word is. And somebody be like, what are you talking about, one word? Well, this is how it works. This is what it is. And so you just never know what you can do to inspire people. But when I look at it, because I got some books here, and all of them deal with mindset. So it's the aspect of where's your mind, what's your mindset right now, going from 2020 to 2021. Where are you at mindset wise with what you took out of this year, what grew, and what allowed you to progress? And so maybe it's the fact that you've got to work on your money mindset. And so this is a book, highly suggest checking it out, Vibrational Money Immersion. That's one of those things when you talk about money, people freak out, people like shut down and run away. And it's like you're talking about something that is going to make them sick or something. And it's a possibility, depending on their mindset and how they were brought up and if they haven't worked on it. But maybe you got to work on your mindset when it comes to money. Because ultimately, money is just a vehicle. Money is just energy. Money, ultimately, you need money. If you got a goal and a dream and it's huge, you need money. And so you got to flip that mindset when it comes to the money piece. The next one that I have here, and these are books I highly suggest reading, checking out, just to work on it. But maybe you need to go and the light's here. So The Big Leap. I've talked about this, but maybe there's an aspect that you're looking, and maybe you've got a really exciting opportunity going into 2021, or maybe you have a big dream and a vision, and you're like, man, what do I need to do? And so maybe you need to take that big leap. And this is a book that I've talked about, but it's dealing with your upper limiting beliefs. And when you start looking at this and some of the stuff that is crazy in regards to what can cause those upper limiting beliefs, there's things in here that you wouldn't consider it. So like this one, hidden barrier number 2. And so this is, oh man. So there's barriers that can be causing you to have these upper limiting beliefs. This one is disloyalty and abandonment. And so that talks about ultimately it comes down to the paradigm. Maybe you have your family that you're like, oh man, I can't do this. It's going to end up being viewed as being disloyal to my family. if I go make more money than my parents did, or if I go chase this dream that my parents think is crazy, and I may go against what they tell me to do. And there's that disloyalty piece. And so think about that. Is there something going on? And that's just barrier number 2. I think there's 8 that Gay talks about. So maybe you have that big leap that you need to jump and make. That's the book to really get into. But like I said, it ultimately is the mindset. You've got to work on your mindset. The next book, in this book I've talked about many times, and I've got a lot of people like, man, now I got to go check this book out. But I highly suggest getting this book. This is a book that you want to read once a year, because that's what I believe. That's my opinion. That's what I see. It's like, this is a book that you need to read once a year. And that book is The Buddha and the Badass. And man, there's just so much in here. Like the aspect of the 3 most important questions. What experiences do you want to have in life? How do you want to grow? And what contributions do you want to provide? And legitimately, it's funny because 2 Native Sons started from a question. And 2 hours before sitting down and talking to Patrick, I was going through this exercise and going through the experience list. And I wrote down writer. And then 2 hours after that, talked to Patrick, and he asked, hey, have you thought about writing a book? I was like, oh, this is that. Here we go. Just we'll swing the bat. And with the book, we're almost done. We got one more chapter, and then it's just the whole process of putting it together. So once we have that complete, we'll start putting the links out. You can download it, read it, share it, whatever you need to. But with everything else that we do that's unconventional, I look at this book as being unconventional too. The way it's like working out and whatnot, I've never seen a book like this before. So like everything else that we do, it's unconventional, and we're showing people that you can do things that aren't the norm. You can go and do what you want that's outside the norm, outside of what society tells you to do, outside of your close circle that is probably hamstringing you right now, and you got to do an audit. But man, go do it. And even if it's not a normal process, you're going to find people that resonate with it. And that's a testament to what's happening with 2 Native Sons and what's taking place with the businesses. We're finding people that resonate with the vision, and it's a beautiful thing. Huge things coming. So I'm excited about it. The next one, man, like I said, all these books I'm highlighting is the mindset piece. The next one is Limitless by Jim Quick. If you think you're limited in what you can do, you are fooling yourself. You're really selling yourself short. You can do so much. Your mind is a asset that you have, that you're unlimited. You have no limits. But it comes to the fact of, what stories are you telling yourself? What are you speaking to yourself? What upper limiting beliefs, going back to the big leap, do you have that's holding you back? Man. And so that's the biggest thing. It's the starting point. It's the internal piece. Your mindset is internal. You've got to work on that. And so maybe this is something to look at going into 2021 that you need to work on. But that's up to you to make the change and run with it and do it and whatnot. And then the last book that I have, and no, 2 of them right now I'm reading. Vibrational Money Immersions. I've got like 5 books going on. And then Think Like a Monk. And so, man, if you've never heard Jay Shetty speak, go look him up. He's got things on Facebook, things on Spotify. Go look him up. And it's just really, this year has brought me across these different individuals that has opened up. And so the power of meditation, the power of calming your mind, the power of centeredness, man, it if you want something different, you want a change in your life, man, you got to read this book. You got to do something different. And so my question is, when you think about yourself, what are you feeding your mind? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Are you reading? Are you reading books? A lot of people are like, I don't like to read. Well, shit, like books are there to help cut your learning curve down. You've got to read, but you've got to implement also what they are teaching in the book, what they're sharing in the book. Too many people will be like, oh, I'm reading this book. That's great. Well, what are you taking from that book and putting it into action? And the fact is, maybe you're reading that book and you only need to take 2 or 3 nuggets away and implement that and work on that. And then once you do that, then go back to the book and see what else there is. But it's the fact that people are like, oh, I'm reading this book. Okay, cool. What are you doing with it? What actions are you putting out there? And so this aspect, this analogy that happened today, and it's funny because I look at it and things happen, and it goes into the fact that you're potentially moving from one home to another home. So you're moving from 2020 to 2021. And so going from your current house to the new house. So ended up helping with the moving job today. It was great times, loved it. I enjoyed the physical labor and heavy shit. But it's unique when you start working with individuals and you start helping them move, and just the ton of shit that they have, that it's like, do you need all this stuff? Like, you see people going from a big house to a smaller house, and they're taking all their shit with them from the big house, that now their new house is a lot smaller than the old house, and you have all this shit. And so it's the same thing right now. We're getting ready to move from 2020 to 2021. What has happened? What's taken place? What thoughts? What ideas? What relationships? What do you need to not pack on the moving truck and take with you to your new home in 2021? What shit is not serving you anymore? What is holding you back that you need to look and say, I don't need this anymore? Maybe you need a downsize, and you've got to ask yourself and look and say, okay, what does downsizing mean to me? Pretty much is what junk that could be going on your moving truck doesn't need to be on there going to the new house. What do you need to not take with you and clutter up the new house by junk from the past? And so it's interesting because that's one of those things when you look at relationships. You look at people that go from one relationship to the next relationship. And ultimately, this comes from my experience and what I've experienced and what I've had to deal with and grow and learn from is, if you don't work on yourself and you go from the current aspect to the future, and you don't work on yourself and you have all this junk that doesn't need to go with you, it's going to slow you down. It's going to hinder you. And so maybe there is a chance for something big to take place for your life, but you have all this shit with you that doesn't serve you anymore. And so the biggest thing that you've got to look at is your mindset. Look at the people you're surrounding yourself with, but look at the stories that you're telling yourself and be like, is this serving me? Is this going to benefit me in the new home? And so it's just something to think about. Like I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, here we go. Good times. But yeah, hopefully you got something from this. I don't know. I need to quit saying hopefully. Like you figure out if you're going to take something from this or not. That's up to you. I'm just here to share my message that somebody else needs to hear. I don't know who that is, but I've got to share it anyway. So here we go. But like I always say, there is the share button for Facebook. You can hit the share button. Anybody that you know that needs to hear this message, hit share, send it a message. I don't know, tag them, whatever you need to do. YouTube, there's a link on YouTube. Take that link and shoot it to whoever you need to. Say, here you go. But with everything that we're doing with the live streams, the videos, it's all uploaded on YouTube. So if you are supporting us and you love what we're doing, go to YouTube, go to our channel, Two Native Sons, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the follow button, do whatever you can. And we also have the Facebook page too for Two Native Sons. Go check it out, go like it. Just big things that are coming out of that. If you have something on your heart, you have something in your mind, and you don't know how to extract it, you feel as if nobody's there for you, nobody supports you, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Reach out to myself or Patrick, any of the other videos that you've seen before, anybody that's made comments, Garrett Goggins, Doug Brown, hit them up. Let them know what's going on. I don't care. Find somebody that you can lean on and you can start working toward your dreams. And it goes into the place of the coaching piece. If you need a coach and you're dealing with, so kind of made another pivot with the coaching practice, talking to Jasper. Jasper just like springs up these ideas. Here we go. But she did a flipped interview, and that was last week. So that's on my Facebook page. Go check it out. But she had brought up the fact, she's like, you know what? Ultimately, what you're getting into, what you're working with individual wise is relationships. And so if you have relationship situations going on, or you need some work, you're at this baseline and you need to progress, reach out to me. We'll do a 30-minute free discovery call. We'll see what's going on, see what you really want to focus on, what you want to grow and get from that baseline to thriving, whatever that may be for you. We got to figure that out. But ultimately, the biggest relationship that we got to work on is the relationship with ourselves. That's the biggest driving factor that's going to impact every other relationship, is the relationship that you have with yourself. And then the final thing before I sign off here, Wednesdays, we have the Dreamer Cypher. And this week it's going to be myself again with a good family friend of mine, somebody I've known for a very long time, but knew his kids, grew up with his kids. Dave Perdue, coach, be coming on and just having a discussion, real life discussion. Nothing's held back. I know he's got a great program, stand up, stand out, and just excited to have him come on. He's got a lot more energy than I do. So this is going to be interesting. I'm excited for it. But this should be the last week based on what I was talking to Patrick. So next week, we'll have Patrick back in the fold, in the mix. Here we go. But thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for your time. If you found value, hit the share button, share with somebody else that needs to hear the message. That's up to you to do that. But other than that, you guys have a great night. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Good night.